Hey, hi, hello, what's up?
Hi, welcome to Arcade Cuties.
It's our second episode.
Yep, it's our podcast about video gaming, emphasis on the gay.
Episode 2.
Yeah, hi, welcome.
The big number 2. We're going 2.
Today we're talking about Hades, which was probably my 2020 game of the year, and I'm very excited about it.
It is a really good game.
Yeah, okay. How should we should we give an overview? Do you think there's anybody in the world right now who has not heard or seen this game?
You know what? I believe yes, because there's certain games that I haven't played myself. And when I say, oh, I've never played that, I get such a reaction from it. And you know what? It wasn't up until the third Mass Effect released that I actually played all 3 of them. And at that point, it was already a really well-established popular thing. So yeah, I'm going to say that there are definitely people out there who haven't had the chance to look at it. Maybe have it on their wish list, haven't bought it yet. So I don't think there's any harm in giving a brief, summary of what the game is. I guess the genre,
Yeah. Okay.
what it includes. I think it's available on all platforms.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's available pretty much everywhere. So if you've not heard of this game before, it is a hack and slash dungeon crawler developed by Supergiant Games, who did stuff like Bastion and Transistor and Pyre, and I'm sure others that I'm forgetting, but it takes place in the underworld and it has a very strong Greek mythology tie to it. And it's super neat. It's a lot of fun. We'll get into some light spoiler territories.
Oh, yeah.
Just because this is a kind of a newer game still. But also, if you're familiar with Greek mythology, you might already kind of have an idea of where it goes throughout. The player takes control of Zagreus, who is the son of Hades, after he discovers that his origin is not what he was told. And so he decides to break out of hell. And to do that, he enlists the help of his cousins and aunts and uncles from the Greek pantheon. And along the way, you discover truths about each character and yourself, and it's all really good.
When I looked up the game earlier, it said that it was a 2018 game, and I went, what? I'm confused. I didn't realize that it was in beta for almost 3 years.
Which I think they did that based on the reception to Pyre, which is still a really solid game, but I think didn't have as much audience acclaim as some of their earlier ones. And so they really wanted to focus on something that would be a hit, both from a narrative and mechanical standpoint. So yeah, it was in beta for 2 years, I guess, and then released in 2020 on all platforms. They got huge funding from Epic Games because I think it was an exclusive for a month maybe, or maybe while it was on the beta, and now it's everywhere.
Fuck yeah. I'm also going to say that they definitely achieved that critical acclaim.
So, do you have experience with this game?
Yes. Yes, I do. I actually played it on stream for a bit, and then also off stream. I'm going to say from top to bottom that Hades is a very memorable game. It's definitely a game that I'm going to think of and continue recommending to people who haven't played it. I had a really positive experience playing Hades. With everything. The game is extremely enjoyable in multiple ways. I can't really think of anything that was a negative experience. I can't think of anything bad with the game. The soundtrack is phenomenal. The artwork is beautiful. The voice acting is so good. I really enjoyed the character designs. The gameplay is really fluid and fun. You have a bunch of different weapons that you could choose from too, and I would say that reflects your play style, right? The weapons are unlockable, and you do have to build up keys over some time, but it's not too bad. I think it also does a really good job of not feeling too grindy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that there is grinding involved in the game.
Which I think is just by nature of being a dungeon crawler. You're going to die a lot in this game, but
oh yes,
death is kind of what makes it fun.
It's a core mechanic of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there is also a lot of replay value in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you do die, just getting sent back, right? And coming out and seeing Hypnos. Hypnos always has something new and sassy to say to you. And also, the other characters will appear in different areas. You could build relationships with them. You could upgrade your weapons. You could upgrade the halls, your bedroom. There's like a whole bunch of stuff. And you could gift characters so that you could build deeper relationships with them. And there's also even romance. And all of that unlocks more dialogue. So you find out more about Zagreus, Persephone, Hades, Nyx, Megan. Megan? Or is it just Meg?
Megara? Megan?
Megan. Oh my god!
So there are a number of weapons that you can use throughout. Each of them have their own. They have like 4 aspects. So there's a ton of variety and gameplay stuff that you can do. There is the sword, which you start off with. There is a spear, a shield, a bow and arrow, a gun, and the gauntlets. Pew. That's pew, it.
Pew, pew.
Got it.
Perfect.
Yes.
You're doing phenomenal.
Thank you. Each weapon and its aspect counts towards its own completion run. So you can have... you can complete the game multiple times with each weapon and adjust difficulty and stuff later.
Mm-hmm.
There are 4 main worlds. Wait, is that right?
Yes. I would consider, when you get to, not Olympus, when you get to Greece, when you see Persephone, I would consider that a world.
Yeah.
And then there's the really pretty area with the green in that. That's a world. Then there's the lava area. That's a world. And then there's... the underworld, so I would say 4.
But each of them has their own like unique enemy type, and it gets progressively more difficult. There's a mini boss at the end of each round, and they all kind of range in enjoyability, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also like sub bosses that you can fight throughout.
Yeah. Would you consider where? Oh my god, what's their name? Chaos is? Is that another realm?
It technically does in the span of the game, but I mean it's just another area to get a boon, which are essentially little power-ups that give you an aspect of the Greek god that bestows it upon you. I mean, you got your Zeus, you got your Poseidons, you got your Athena, all of it. There's just so much, and each run can be like wildly different.
Right, and they're randomly generated too.
Mm-hmm.
So you never really know who you're going to unlock.
Right. You can affect it a little bit with these charm items. It guarantees the first one that you will pick. And some of them have different effects. Like Hypnos will give you more money. And like some of them, Skellies will give you like an extra Death Defiance.
Oh, Death Defiance, right.
So as you are like going through it and upgrading your stats with darkness, it will become like progressively easier. There's also something called hero mode, I think, or god mode, which will boost Zagreus's health and defenses a little bit each time you die. So if you're a little concerned about the difficulty of the game, that's a nice way to kind of balance out the initial like starting path.
Yeah, because the game can be rough.
Yeah,
a little bit.
There's definitely like a pretty aggressive learning curve at times.
Oh yeah.
Even now, like I have put countless hours into this game, and there are still types of enemies and bosses that will give me trouble sometimes.
Right.
Although that, to be fair, once you beat the game, once you complete it, you do get these things that are called bounties, so you can make each run a little bit more difficult for more rewards and stuff. But Yeah, there are some that are definitely not fun. I think my least favorite boss fight is probably Theseus.
Oh, yes. Theseus is really fucking annoying.
Mm-hmm. And Asterius. I like Asterius, the Minotaur that's with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good.
The thing with that biome that always gets me, and this is what was fucking me up, like, as I was making my way to the end the first time,
Mm-hmm.
was that there's always, like, the chance if you choose, like, a certain area to progress to that you end up in a fight with them on their own.
Right, yeah.
I'm gonna say, avoid that. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
The mini bosses in Elysium, which is like the hero's paradise, are just, they're rough. Because you either get Asterius or you get the butterfly room, and the butterflies are...
Oh my god, don't get me started on those fucking butterflies. I think that's, you know what? I'm going to take back what I said earlier about the game not really having any negatives. I'm going to say the butterflies. Those are negative as hell. Oh my god. Every time they spawn, I'm going to rant. I'm going to rant. And bless the creators. They did a wonderful job of this game. I'm not shitting on this game. I'm not even giving constructive criticism. I am just bitching right now as a player. And I understand it. And I respect the game. And I respect the idea. But I don't deserve that. That's dirty. Will I keep playing the game? Yes. Do I still love the game? Yes. But every time those orc motherfuckers spawn, I go, no, not the butterflies. Because they get everywhere. They get everywhere. And if you get a certain boon for casting, like Demeter's with the crystal that shoots like ice beams and stuff, that's pretty great. Because you could just aim that on all sides of that orb and you could just completely destroy it and kind of deal with it. You know, if you got something that could hit it from a distance, or for example, there's the spinny things that Ares gives you when you run, if you dash, you could do that, you know. But if you don't have any of that, good luck.
I mean, there are workarounds to every enemy.
Okay, yes,
but
some of them No, I know. I know. I'm just saying, when you get to Elysium, do yourself a favor.
I especially dislike any of the enemies that deal poison damage in Styx's temple. Those are the worst ones for me.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite weapon that you like to play through, or like a kind of build that you go for?
I love the spear. And then I usually have Demeter's crystals that shoot. Pew, pew, pew. I like putting those down because I can shoot the enemies from a distance. It helps a lot with Hades, in my opinion. And then usually I'll upgrade it so that it temporarily freezes enemies too.
Yeah.
I also, like, for my call, I either go... My favorites, if, like, obviously presented to me as an option, are Zeus's call and Poseidon's. I really like Zeus's, especially. It's sparky boys.
Get your lightning.
Just zap everything, yeah. I find... I think my play style is... so I play very aggressively in every game. I have no right to do that. I play aggressively in games I shouldn't play aggressive in. So I find that when I have stuff that shoots at a distance, or, you know, the dash attacks that, like, either cause enemies to be struck by lightning, or to send out the spirally thingies that Ares gives you, or something, you know what I mean? Like, I could dash around, get a bunch of shit out that deals damage, hit them from a distance with the spear, because the spear, the thing I like about the spear is that I could launch it and then call it back to me, and it can pass through the enemy twice. And
you get that backstab damage too, bonus.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Yeah, exactly.
I think those weapons with the ability to fire from a distance are really, really good at the beginning of the game while you are like trying to get through it for the first time. The spear in particular is really good against Lerny, the Hydra that you face.
Right.
So is the bow for that one. I have a pretty similar play style, I guess. in that I also like to charge ahead without thinking too much, with a lot of dashes, and like I really love the gauntlets, which are so much fun, and the shield, because you get that good bash. But looking at my like statistics and stuff, I've probably beat the game the most with the bow and arrow.
I have not tried that yet.
With the bow?
Yeah.
There's some really good ones that you can pair with it that make it work like fantastically.
Mm.
But yeah, I love this game so much for every reason that you listed. Like, the characters are good, the acting, the writing, like the atmosphere itself.
The writing is so fucking good. Yeah, the whole overall atmosphere of the game is just excellent.
It's so good. And I mean, each run, like, even if you're beating, like, if I am going to complete a run, it'll take like less than 30 minutes. So I have it on my Switch, right? So it is the perfect, like, pick up and go, or like the just one more like room, one more run, one more dungeon type game.
Oh yeah.
Which is really, really good. Especially right now, like having that short burst of gameplay and like being able to put it down for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice.
I don't know, if anyone's looking for a good game to play on the Switch, I would absolutely recommend Hades, especially if you have the Switch that can be handheld or docked, because like you could just kind of vibe in your bed and play on it.
I do know that there is like cross-platform save, so if you have it on multiple platforms, like if you had it on PC, or another console and also had it on the Switch, you could play both and your save will transfer over.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, I've considered buying the game on multiple platforms just because Supergiant is probably one of my favorite developers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love supporting them. I have played through Transistor a couple of times. Just everything they make is so well done and has like a level of polish that is incredible. It's got like the Nintendo like level of polish.
Mm-hmm.
The only I've heard that the PC run can be a bit intensive, which you wouldn't think looking at it. Although all the characters, I believe, are like 3D animated and stuff. So I could see like on higher settings, like making a PC lag. I think just because there can be like a lot of enemies on screen and stuff, maybe. And there's a lot of like particle effects, so maybe that'll...
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can...
We've had friends who have tried to stream it before and like got a bit of lag, but I've never had a problem on my Switch.
I suppose with that being said, if you want to pick it up on PC, go for it, but take that into consideration. It might not be a game that you can stream without issue. So if you do have a console and you want to stream Hades, it would probably be better for you to get it on a console.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it looks fantastic either way. Like,
yeah, it does.
It's just so pretty.
It really is.
I could geek out about this game forever. Here's a fun fact. When they were developing the game and the narrative, originally the hero was going to be Theseus. But as they started to build it out, they realized that Theseus was kind of boring, especially because he has like a story that is kind of... I mean, the thing about Greek mythology is that it is very fluid just because, the method that they told it was all verbal, right? So depending on the storyteller, the mythos of each legend could kind of grow and shift. So they decided to go with a new character and kind of adapted the story of Hades and Persephone. But they did keep Theseus. As we mentioned, you can fight him, and he's just... he's a jerk. I hate him.
He's insufferable. He's absolutely insufferable.
He's just a jock. He's a jock. He's the worst kind of jock.
He would have a fitness TikTok.
Probably, yeah.
He absolutely would have a fitness TikTok. There'd be photos of him in the gym with... What is the Minotaur's name?
Asterius.
Asterius?
Uh-huh.
Which is Theseus and Asterius in the fucking gym taking like ab photos.
Do you have a favorite side character or god?
Oh my gosh, don't do this to me. I can't just choose one. Because I relate to some of them on a very deep personal level. Like Hypno's always sleeping, always tired, yeah. Yeah, I relate to that. And Hypnos is really sarcastic and like a little bit of a shit, so relatable. If I was looking at it, oh no, that doesn't help either. I was going to say, if I was looking at it from the voice acting to the dialogue to the character design, and then their role in the game, who my favorite character would be, and then I started thinking of that and went, "Oh no, there's multiple. Can I can I name multiple?
Yeah, let's go like with the top 3.
Okay, the top 3. Nyx. Nyx is definitely one of my favorite characters. Just everything about her.
Mommy Death.
Yeah, Mommy Death. I love her character design. Her character is beautiful, and I also like how she speaks to Zagreus too. She's very empathetic to his journey and aids him in succeeding at escaping from hell. She's just, I don't know, she's a very good character. She's supportive and she's sweet. She's there for him. And she defies Hades multiple times.
Right. She's essentially his adopted, I mean, he thought that she was his real mother.
Right.
But she never, like, those maternal aspects of her personality never left, even after he discovered the truth, which is just it's very sweet.
Yeah, she is very sweet, and she cares very deeply for him, and will do everything she can to make sure that he succeeds and that he does what he wants and he's happy. Like, I don't know, I like Nyx a lot. She's sweet. I really like Meg.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We're gonna take a moment as podcast hosts and as an audience to just go head empty, no think for Meg for like 2 seconds.
Yep. Yeah. No, 2 seconds. I don't know. I need to recuperate after that.
That's just bad. That's just bad. We can't. I said 2 seconds. Pause the episode. Come back in like 5 minutes, and we'll keep going.
We'll be back.
All in all, I'd rather be on your bad side than his. Now you can turn back like a good little man, or I can send you home the painful way. What'll it be?
I really like Meg's design. Her dialogue and her voice is just delicious, scrumptious. Like, all the characters are really well written. I can't just say, oh, she's really well written.
Oh, I thought you were going to say hot.
Oh, she's hot as fuck. Like, if I didn't know I was gay before I played Hades, I would know I'm fucking gay playing Hades. Like, are you kidding me? Aphrodite? Damn.
With the exception of, like, Zeus, they're all pretty smoochable.
Yeah, they absolutely are. All I'm going to say is that Hades is a pretty horny game. Anyways, it just is. Isn't it?
You got one more character, and then I got
one more character.
Pivot off of that point.
I'm not done talking about Meg.
This can't be our Meg fan cast.
No, I'm almost done. Another thing that I really like about Meg is that she's never, and also, like, I guess the other femme characters in the game, is that they never feel dependent on Zagreus. They all have their own personalities and their own drive. Like, Meg never sacrifices her. I mean, I don't think she can, actually, because of Hades. But, you know, she doesn't sacrifice parts of herself for Zagreus. And I like their romance. I enjoyed the writing for their romance. I would say my third favorite character, surprising no one, is my favorite sad boy, Than.
Okay, yes, Thanatos, yes. God of death.
About when we last spoke, I care about you, Thanatos, a lot. Though you asked what you are to me, how am I supposed to even answer that?
I don't know. Sometimes I miss not feeling anything. Can't always trust what feelings say. I get to thinking, are we only friends, or... Look, this is embarrassing.
My favorite sad boy. That's it.
That's all you have to say about it.
When I was first playing through it, hold up. When I was first playing through it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, not first playing through it, because Thanatos shows up like what, after like 5 or so runs?
Yeah.
After you've died quite a few times.
There's like a 50-50 chance or something like that he will show up in a run.
Right.
And engage in a very, at first, not so friendly, but as it continues, more friendly competition with Zagreus to see who can kill the most enemies.
When Thanatos first showed up, I was like, I think I had already gifted some ambrosia. It's ambrosia, right?
It's nectar at first.
Nectar first, and ambrosia.
Yeah.
So Thanatos showed up, and I had already been gifting Meg nectar at that point. Mm-hmm. And when Thanatos showed up, I went, oh no, he's hot. And he's sad.
Uh-huh.
That's it. And then I started giving Thanatos nectars as much as I could too. He doesn't show up in the hall for a bit. Mm-hmm. Like, I ran into him, and then I think he only showed up in the hall talking. He was at like the balcony to the room in the left.
Yeah.
And I think that was like after a few more deaths or something like that. And I wasn't even able to gift him nectar the first time I saw him.
You know, he's real angry with you at first.
He's upset.
Angry at you and also his brother Hypnos.
Mm-hmm. Who are your top 3 characters, Justin?
I mean, I also really like Meg and Thanatos, so they would probably be up there for me. As far as like the gods go, I really love Artemis. She wants you to think that she's cool, but also just like doesn't care about anything. It's I don't know. It makes me laugh. It's a good. She just like wants to hang out and like be buds and go hunting and chill with the rest of her fae friends.
I heard about you. Look, I'm not like all the others on Olympus. The power of the hunt helps keep me company, so maybe it'll help you too.
I also just really, really enjoy the. I mean, I gotta lean into my musical Broadway tendencies and just go with the Orpheus and Eurydice side quest.
Hold up! Oh no, I really like Eurydice too.
Uh-huh.
Oh no.
There are side quests that you can engage with, and you can help them out, and there's really cool benefits to doing so. It's a good segue into, I know this is only our 2nd episode, but, you know, our question, are video games gay? Hades is gay as hell.
Hades is so fucking gay. I will go to the grave fighting for that. Hades is so gay.
Yes. From a superficial level, the artists and designers very intentionally made the characters very, very attractive, and just, that on that level, it's good. But also, this game and the story is so full of, I mean, one of the central themes is love, essentially, right? So this game is full of examples of love of all types. You can romance Than, you can romance Meg, and the beautiful thing about that is that you don't have to choose. Because, you know, historically, it would have been very factual to have, or to be able to have multiple partners. And nobody, gives you shit about it throughout the entire game. And it's... No one's weird about it. No one makes gross comments. No one makes impolite jabs. Mm-hmm. It's viewed as a... I don't want to say normal. It's Zagreus, is oh, won't the others talk? And Meg, I think, is just who cares what they think? We live forever. It's kind of petty to assume that, the bounds of our love can be as shallow as that. Right. And I mean, you've also got Achilles and Patrick. Good old Pat, who are in a albeit, kind of tense at first relationship. But, we're just 2 historical warriors who also happen to be in love. And, you can help get them back together. I don't want to spoil things too much, but yeah, no, this game is real gay, and it's so nice and affirming to see
different kinds of relationships, and they're kind of not just there like in a token sense,
but even like outside of the romantic aspect of it,
the relationship building is fantastic. And it doesn't feel like, I think, like, yeah, the only 3 romance options are Dusa, Thanatos, and Meg. And your relationship with those 3 doesn't feel like it's more important than the relationships with the other characters that you build, which is nice. And I mean, you could even choose not to romance any of them. You could just give them gifts. Wait, if you give them gifts, you automatically lock yourself in a romance with them. I don't remember.
No, you have the option of like telling them no. So I mean, even that is an option.
Okay. I need to double check because I didn't say no.
Right. Because I mean, that is like, personally, that is always something that like is kind of a barrier to me in video games. I get so frozen with choice, even in like video game, like romantic interest, that I will, if you've seen me on stream when presented with those choice, I will literally like pause the game, pull up a walkthrough to make sure that I don't like mess up my story or anything.
Right, or miss out on content, or like, what if you actually don't like that character when you romance them, or you know, other things, right? Like, it's nice to see a game that has, I mean, like you said, historically it would make sense to have multiple partners, right?
Oh yeah, like
absolutely right. I mean, you know,
Greek culture was so
yeah, that's
so gay.
Yeah, it was very queer. I think it's nice to see just healthy poly representation in media as well, because so often poly relationships just fall under certain stereotypes, like
gross or like jealous.
Yeah. Or like they're jealous, or they're just doing it because they want to have sex with everybody. Or like, oh, they just have commitment issues, or oh, they just want a fancy word for cheating, and I could get into that shit, which is absolute nonsense. Right. So it's nice to see healthy poly relationships in a game. And I don't know, that's nice. People deserve that. I get, like you mentioned, I get very stressed when I'm playing through games and there's like numerous romance options. I get stressed when there's numerous romance options, right? And I had to decide, I had to pick one person, right? Which I often don't want to do.
You get locked down into that path.
Yes, I don't like it when you get locked into that path. And because what if I continue to explore that romance with that character and decide, actually, I'm good. I'm going to stop this.
Because the other alternative option, and I can give like, you know, testament to this, in the latest Fire Emblem game, you have the option to, you know, romance or marry someone at the very end, right?
Right.
And that choice can feel huge. So you could do what I do, is in the interstitial parts, you max out your relationships with everybody, and then you have a save file right before the final level.
That is exactly what I do in Fire Emblem.
And then once you beat the final boss over and over and over again, you can finally see the cutscene that happens when you decide to stick with one character.
Yeah, I haven't played through all of 3 houses, so I haven't actually got into the end and done that. But just off the top of my head, as an example, Awakening has like a lot of relationships, right? And there's like this. Anyways, I jumped to like before like the end of like the first half of Awakening, when things happen, because you could get married really early in the start. I had grinded and pumped 40 hours into relationship building just so I could decide who I was going to marry, if I was going to marry someone before that. Because at a certain point, if you don't marry Crom, he marries someone he has to marry someone else, I think. at a certain point. So you either got to decide if you're going to marry him or marry anyone else, or not marry anyone and marry someone who shows up later in the game. And I find that kind of fucking annoying. Like, I don't vibe with that. Like, why can't I marry Chrome and then divorce him after? Anyways, it's true. I don't like feeling like I have to make that choice and then stick with that choice. It feels very claustrophobic and takes away from the gameplay for me personally. I think a part about relationships in games that also really stresses me out is when the characters, we already mentioned it before, right? Like jealousy. I find that so gross. And it so often stems from miscommunication between the player character and the NPC. Mm-hmm. And I especially dislike it when the player character is given no room, no opportunity whatsoever to actually have a genuine conversation with that person where there's like a positive outcome. And I don't like that. Like off the top of my head, an example that I could think of is Mass Effect. In Mass Effect 1, you could, for example, romance Liara. But then in Mass Effect 2, Liara isn't really around until like a DLC that came out after the initial release. So when I played through that, I romanced her the first game. The second game, I romanced someone else. Then she came around and was like, anyways, how dare you, whatever. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? Like, I just don't like that shit. Like jealousy in games, miscommunication. I find it very frustrating. It's like, because if you're gonna write relationship building in a game, at least give me the option to have a genuine conversation with that person. If I can't have a genuine conversation with that person, don't fucking write a romance in. Why do you have to write a romance that includes jealousy?
Right.
Like, I mean, jealousy is a total normal emotion. Like, people are gonna feel jealous. I don't think that is inherently wrong, and I don't think that's the problem. I think it's the inability for the player character to communicate with the NPC properly, and then you kind of see this scene play out where it's the NPC kind of giving you shit for being like an asshole or something, and you're like, what the fuck? Can I communicate with you? And the game's like, nah, you're fucked. Good luck. But you don't have that in Hades. You don't. Right.
And even from like a narrative standpoint or a writing standpoint, because I did read this article, that the three romance options in Hades do very much follow the three different variations of love that in the Greek language, which is eros, philia, and agape. I mean, they're all love, so they're all good, but they each have their own different meaning, and it really defines like the relationship that you have with each of those three options. It's just real good, and it's real. That part's so real geeky, and it's cute. It's cute. I like that. But hey, Hades is a real good game.
You could smooch multiple people.
Yes.
And befriend multiple people. There's just so much content. Like, it's ridiculous.
Oh,
it has so much replay value, and there's always something new.
The post game is huge, and there's a reason I've put so much time into it. Is just because it seems like it seems like it could never end. Even if you're talking, I mean, there are like certain decorative stuff and like very arbitrary rankings that you can do that just encourages you to play the game more. So since we talked about our favorite characters, I mean, I love so many of them, you know. It's hard to pick and choose. I figured we could just do a little shout out to the cast and crew. Supergiant Games usually works with a pretty condensed staff, there's a lot of hats that any one person could wear during their productions. I think when they started off developing Hades, they had a team of like 20, which seems, for as big as the game is, seems like entirely too few people. And then I think once they got funding from Epic Games, they were able to expand and all that good stuff. But just to give you an idea on like how much dedication went into this thing, the voice of Zagreus, Darren Korb, is also he does the music, the sound effects, he plays Skelly, and he does the singing voice for Orpheus. So I mean, it's just like, oh, here's another, you want to know something really cute?
Yeah, tell me, what is it?
So Cerberus, who we have gone this entire time without talking about.
Oh my gosh, Cerberus is the bestest boy.
The three-headed dog.
Boys?
Huh, maybe?
Bestest boys?
Best boys. Is voiced by the developers' dogs as well.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's the cutest shit ever.
So they have Solo, Higgins, Regis, and Marzipan all do the voice of Cerberus. It's just real so cute. So it's real homegrown, this operation. Mm-hmm. And despite it's like the fourth game they've done, right? So I was going to say, in spite of its humble beginnings, I think you could still say that probably. The game has reached critical acclaim, like on a broader scale as well.
It is incredible. Like, good for them. And they did a really good job of Hades. And I think that the attention and recognition that they have received is well deserved.
Mm-hmm. Especially for an indie game. Like,
oh yeah,
because it wasn't too long ago where indie games were seen as just like, nothing special, or like kind of not trivial. What is the word? Like all flash and no substance.
Subpar or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like along those lines.
Yeah.
A lot of people were more likely to buy games by AAA studios.
Mm-hmm.
And indie games have definitely gotten more popular.
Yeah.
I remember when I first ran into Eurydice and hearing her sing, and I was like, wait a second.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, right to, what is it, IMDb? I'm like,
yeah.
Gotta go fucking look it up. Go look it up. It's Ashley Lynn Barrett. Yes, vocalist for Bastion, Transistor, Pyre, and Hades. She's a phenomenal voice.
Oh, despite being the name of the game, we haven't talked much about like Hades himself.
Oh my gosh, we could talk about Hades.
Hades' dad, he's the final boss, and he's kind of
he's a dick.
Yeah,
he's a fucking asshole.
I was gonna say, like, it's part of his story is a little bit tragic, but also like he definitely goes way further than is necessary.
Absolutely. No, he is
not a great dad.
He's not a good dad. And he's not a great ruler of the underworld either. Everybody just kind of like lives in fear of him and has to do what he says or else.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't really have their own freedom. So he's kind of shit at that too.
Right. Also just very, very scary to fight.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But he is played by Logan Cunningham. Who also does a number of roles, including Poseidon and Achilles and Asterius, and just so many. The narrator, but Logan Cunningham actually got a BAFTA for his performance.
Life isn't particularly fair, short one, nor death. I'd have expected you to know as much. But here, have your fair fight.
Hades actually won 2 awards from the Game Awards. Emphasis on gay. And those 2 awards were Game of the Year and Gaming Magazine Readers Award.
Mm-hmm.
They also won Best Indie, Best Action at the 2020 Game Awards. and several BAFTAs, best game, performer, narrative. So they got a lot of recognition for all the work that they put in their game.
Do you follow their Twitter at all?
I do not.
I do, and it is like the most pure, like throughout all these nominations and throughout reception of the game, like the staff has just been completely blown away by like the fan support, and they are constantly citing that as like the thing that made Hades as much of a success as it is, which, you know, comes in part from that extended beta time. And there's also just been, because of this game, there's just been a larger conversation about work ethics in gaming in general, right? Because Hades was not subject to crunch, from what I can tell, from what I could, you know, gather, compared to several other like much larger games, which definitely did suffer from crunch on the devs team and stuff.
Hades was nominated for Best Game Direction, as was The Last of Us 2. And I remember this, and I remember The Last of Us 2 won, and I personally wasn't particularly happy with that because a lot of the team, I think the entire team that worked on The Last of Us 2 suffered a lot from crunch.
Right.
I'm reading this article, and it does confirm that Hades never forced crunch time on its developers and instead actually implemented required vacations to ensure mental stability.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that's the bare minimum.
Right.
And that should be what it's like for every dev team.
There's our moral for the episode. It's just like, pay and treat your artists well. Like, come on, they work so hard.
It's
like,
not that hard. It's really not that hard. Mm-hmm. Even if for me personally, as someone who consumes any form of media, I'd rather wait anywhere between a month to 3 years or more, however long it takes for the folks working behind that to, you know, get that content out so that they don't have to crunch. They don't have to put their mental and physical health at risk. They don't have to lose time with their loved ones. It doesn't make sense. I don't see the benefit in crunch. I don't think it's necessary. Mm-hmm. I think it's unfair, and I think it's a practice in the video game industry that we can do away with very easily too.
Right. And Hades is like a prime example of like
Hades is
it can work. Like
it can work.
And I know there are like
absolutely work.
You know, there are executives and stuff who ultimately like influence that, but still. Ugh.
No, of course, because if you don't have crunch, you're not making as much money in the end. Like the people up above are making less money because that money would probably be distributed instead to the development of the game over a longer period of time. So they have less money in their pocket. That's probably what it is. Mm-hmm. And I think that's stupid.
Yeah. So if we had any call to action, it would just be like support these indie games that
and I think unionize them. Unionize video game.
Hell yeah. Unions are gay.
Yes. It does not make sense to me it doesn't make sense because then you have really big turnover too in your company, and your team, and you see a lot of people getting burnt out and then leaving. And if you just keep pushing people, especially like your lead writers, your lead, like whoever it might be, right? Like the people who literally make your team what it is, literally make your content what it is. If you keep pushing them to the point of burnout where like they have to go on temp leave or long-term leave, or they even leave your team because they get fed up of it and realize, hey, I'm not being treated like a person or respected. Like it's not good for you in the end, because you're going to lose everybody that makes your game and whatnot what it is. Right. And you're going to have big turnover, and it's just going to hurt you. And people like that don't keep quiet either. They talk about it. And me personally, as a consumer, I don't buy certain games or play certain games because of how they treat their teams.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so if you have not checked out this game, you definitely should, because it is, not only is it like my game of the year for 2020, but it has quickly become one of my favorite games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's constantly going on sale. So like check it out, support an indie dev.
I mean, what more could you ask for? You have a studio that cares about its team.
The gameplay is tight and just so good, and everybody's hot as hell. Like what else? There's nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing else you need. That was very intense, but I think is that gonna do it for us here today?
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you to everyone who gave us feedback or showed love for the first episode.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening to the first episode and for all the love and kindness and support. It's very much appreciated.
It means the world to us. Also, since we did not get to mention it before the first episode was released, we mentioned it a little bit on our social media, but for now, the video format of this podcast is on hiatus until we can potentially figure out an alternative to YouTube, because they've got some real shady ad practices, and we'd rather support platforms that didn't give voice to white supremacists and stuff. So just wanted to keep you all in the loop. But yeah, we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.
Bye.